bilingualparenting.com believe that shows can greatly impact and have benefits in children. Shows like Dora the Explorer and Ni Hao Kai Lan teach kids phrases and the basics of foreign languages that they would otherwise not have access to. And as previously mentioned, educational programming can benefit a child's educational life. And following this idea comes the benefit that foreign languages can also help a child's educational life. According to the American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages, children actually do better on standardized testing when they know more than one language. And though children absorb many traits from their parents, if they're exposed to different ideas on television, their ideas can change and shift. According to a study published by Media Psychology, cited by Bridget Vittrup and George Holden of the Texas Women's University, children that are exposed to educational television with cross-racial friendships are also more likely to have their own cross-racial friendships, which promotes maintaining a diverse lifestyle.
Alright, so a lot of parents, they may trust educational television to help the development of their children in the system, to have their children become responsible adults and productive adults as well. But a lot of parents, they're also worried about the possible effects that this new technology that delivers media to their children can have on their children, effects that they don't know about. And as if to confirm these suspicions, a lot of studies that have been published, they relate poor sleeping habits to television viewing, such as the policy brief published by the Australian Royal Children's Hospital, and which reports sleep onset delay and sleep anxiety as effects of television watching of children ages 4 to 10. Another study published by the Harvard Gazette by Susan McGreevy, it attempted to relate the increased television viewing of children aged 6 months to 8 years old to less sleep and less quality of sleep. And it reports that for every hour of television, additional hour of television that a child watched, he or she would lose 7 minutes of sleep. This may seem insignificant, but the minutes of sleep lost could pile up significantly with every hour of television. But interestingly, the same study showed that for having a television in the bedroom, 30 minutes of lost sleep would happen to a child. A child would lose pretty much a half hour of sleep if a television was found in the bedroom. And as shown in this graph, this amount literally eclipses the 7 minutes per hour of lost television, for every hour of television. And through this, it can be suggested that television, it can simply be moderated instead of completely eliminated to keep quality of sleep under control. Also, another significant worry that parents may have about educational television is the advertisements that happen between the content that's presented. They're mainly advertisements funded by large food corporations that are suspected to lead to children making poor choices that lead to unwanted weight gain. And these concerns are understood because they're also founded among similar scientific studies that relate to television watching among children to childhood obesity. Commercials, they can often promote things such as sugary cereals and snacks filled with empty calories, so they appeal to children, so they purchase that product more, and unfortunately some may eat too much. And these studies, they aren't surprising, because also in the policy brief published by the Australian Royal Children's Hospital, the same study, it found that watching television for 20 hours or more per week, it would double the risk of obesity compared to children who watch less than 20 or more hours educational television, 20 hours or less per week. But commercials may be scary due to the statistics, but they can also promote healthful behavior, surprisingly. The NFL Plays 60 campaign and Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign, they have already been shown to promote exercise and healthful habits such as eating healthy snacks or moderating unhealthy food intake. And these can also promote a healthy childhood. Also, educational television is also highly regulated by governmental organizations such as the FCC here and the European Union across Lake Atlantic. But by regulating these commercials, they can make educational television, more of promoting exercise and healthful behaviors than wrong food purchases and unhelpful behaviors. Educational television, okay, so also with these tight regulations on commercials for educational television and success of ad campaigns that promote healthful behavior, there's promise for educational television to not only mentally benefit children, but also physically benefit children in establishing healthful behaviors at an early age.
So over the years, the advancement of children's educational television has positively influenced the development of children, parents, and production companies. But according to critics, the major downfall of these programs is the abundance of unrelated commercials that seem to permeate through the intended meanings of the shows themselves.
Commercials are unavoidable, but commercials in educational television are far less frequent and are far less inappropriate than commercials that air during, say, sports events and things like that. In order to minimize the number of commercials that are already aired, it's possible for the government to allow federal grants to help pay for the cost that commercials would otherwise have.
Publicly funded programs such as NPR and PBS, they struggle annually to renew their government funding, and this is due to resistance from members of Congress, especially from the Republicans, because these programs are founded among liberal tendencies, and but in truth, they really enrich the lives of children and parents and family as a whole, and they really benefit the development of children. This could be paid for by, these programs could be paid for by slightly increased taxes or more private investments. And grants that provide the money to produce these shows would be feasible if this increased taxes or private investments would occur. And if this happened, advertisements wouldn't really be necessary to generate funding for the show because it already has an alternative source of income to keep the show running.
But if advertisements are still deemed necessary in order to fund the production of these shows, the government and the production companies should ensure that the only commercials that are present are ones that promote healthy lifestyles, and this will ensure that the children know how to maintain healthful habits and lead more well-rounded lives.
It's important and necessary for parents to teach their children the ways of balanced and healthy lifestyle. Moderation is key to a child's development, either physically or mentally, and educational television can only help further.
So, in conclusion, by monitoring the amount of television watched by children, the quality of the education and the entertainment that children receive throughout this programming, it can be purely enhanced with no really observable negative effects. So the experience can be purely positive. And the federal grants and the government regulations that already exist, they would be able to, they would allow the government to succeed in one of its main goals, to shape the future of the next generation of our country. And also, so by focusing on the next generations of change makers, healers, and scientists through educational television, the government will not only be able to help the children of today, but the adults of tomorrow.
Let's do your questions really fast. Let's do Victoria first. How did your team go about developing your research question?
It actually, interestingly, it kind of stayed very similar when we from our final research question, we just had to narrow it down based on our lenses. So the effects of childhood television are really broad, but when we discussed them scientifically and in different ways, it was a more feasible question to answer.
Okay. Julia, what information did you learn about the topic that you have been unaware of, and why is that information significant?
I think with anything you look at as a kid, as you look at it 15, 16 years later, everything seems so different. So initially when I watched Sesame Street or Teletubbies, I didn't think they were promoting any sort of acceptance or anything. I just thought it was cute and liked watching it. But now that I look back, I really see that it's promoting good messages and it's much more beneficial than you initially believed.
Good. And Advika, describe your thought process as you prepare to deliver your argument to an audience.
Alright, so my thought process was I wanted to show the audience how, educational television, it really psychologically affected the minds of children, to really show how children would be, positively affected or either negatively affected throughout content such as advertising or other, the other regular programming.
All right, good.